Saturday at 7:16 p.m., KCPD officers were patrolling downtown in the area of 16th and Main when they observed a group of illegal off-road motorized bikes and an ATV doing stunts and driving erratic. At Truman Road in Maine, officers observed the illegal off-road motorized bikes and ATV doing stunts at the intersection against a red light. A KCPD officer attempted to throw stop sticks and subsequently take an ATV driver into custody when the driver backed up, brought the ATV into a wheelie, and struck our officer, landing atop of our officer, and then continued to drive over him as he fled the scene. Our officer was transported to a local hospital with serious injuries. KCPD officers pursued the ATV when the suspect drove the ATV northbound in the southbound lanes of I-35, going the wrong way, putting other drivers at risk. At that time, KCPD officers lost sight. Today, the ATV driver is still at large and wanted for aggravated assault, and we need the public to assist our city in identifying and locating the suspect. Anyone with information is asked to call the TIPS hotline at 816-474-TIPS or 816-474-8477, or our assault squad at 816-234-5227. The ATV is described as a black and lime green Yamaha Raptor 700, and the driver appears to be a male. Saturday night, criminals on ATVs, dirt bikes, and other vehicles put innocent people at risk. KCPD officers are constantly working in our city addressing the lawless, dangerous, and criminal behavior. KCPD has aggressively targeted these criminal activities using tactical response teams, helicopter, and teams of officers to stop this activity. We also regularly conduct large-scale initiatives with up to 25 to 30, even 50 with outside agencies, that many officers dedicated to enforcing on those involved in street racing and illegal motorized vehicles on our roadways. This summer, we're even extending that to Sundays. The large-scale initiatives require numerous officers due to the number of illegal motorized vehicles and the lawless, chaotic behavior that they exhibit. We have worked with our elected officials, both at City Hall and Jefferson City, to enhance penalties for those violations. As a result of that work, city ordinances have been changed to provide enhanced accountability by increasing penalties, such as higher fines and jail time, administrative tow fees, as well as fines for spectators. KC Public Works has also assisted in making grooves, street milling in our streets to prevent sideshows and burnouts. We are in discussion with city officials to add additional cameras, automatic license plate readers, fencing and gates in areas in and around downtown to further curb street racing, sideshows, and dangerous motorized vehicles exhibiting lawless behavior. In fact, Governor Kehoe has shown support in House Bill 495, and last year, the state passed Senate Bill 901, Valentine's Law, both with enhanced punishments for eluding law enforcement officers and violations of street racing and sideshow legislation, with mandatory jail time and progressive penalties from misdemeanors to felonies. KCPD will continue to work toward even more measures of accountability to prevent and enforce on those involved in dangerous motorized chaos on our streets and highways, to include the request from lawmakers to confiscate any motorized vehicle used in this type of dangerous activity, and increase penalties for spectators and riders and those associated with promoting these activities. Kansas City is not alone in this challenging issue. Numerous major cities are grappling with this dangerous trend of street racing, sideshows, burnouts, and illegal motorized bikes and ATVs on our streets. It's a miracle our officer who was injured Saturday night trying to stop criminal recklessness on our streets is out of the hospital and recovering at home, while our officer recovers from his serious injuries. I ask our city to step up and assist in identifying and locating the person responsible for the disgusting assault on your Kansas City police officer. In turn, I ask the person responsible for the assault on our police officer to make arrangements for a peaceful surrender sooner than later. Thank you to the many pedestrians who witnessed the assault on our officer who ran to his aid. Our investigators would like to speak with you. Thank you to all of those who have contacted me with prayers and offers of support. From the people of Kansas City, from our city and our state leaders, law enforcement, chiefs and sheriffs, and the Jackson County prosecutor who have all personally reached out on behalf of our injured officer.
Thank you, Chief. First of all, I want to express my incredible gratitude that our officer this morning, while recovering and having sustained serious injuries, is recovering at home, and we hope that our officer has the opportunity to bounce back soon. This is a situation that we should not have been in. Every weekend, and increasingly it seems every night and many days in Kansas City, we deal with these folks who have no regard for the lives of others, have no regard for the safety of our community. KCPD was out doing exactly what we have asked them to do, looking to enforce against serious traffic offenses in the core of our city. We know this happens all around our community and know that officers and the team standing behind me and the team all around this city is working hard to ensure we address these issues each day. Part of the reason we come together is to make clear to those who commit these types of offenses in Kansas City that lawlessness on our roads, on our sidewalks, will never be accepted, that you will have enforcement action taken. And to this offender in particular, they will be apprehended and they will have serious charges against them. We encourage others who participate in this type of behavior to please stop. And if they do not stop, they will face serious enforcement action throughout the summer. KCPD, and I appreciate this from the chief, have remained resolved to making sure that all can be safe in this city, and all includes those who are out in our community and on our streets. The Kansas City Police Department and City Hall, working with them, will make sure that everyone is safe, that those who commit these offenses are stopped, and as the chief noted, that we use every tool possible, including vehicle impoundment, to ensure that these types of offenses do not continue. We have worked closely, not just with the city attorney's office, legal counsel at the Kansas City Police Department, and certainly our state leaders, to make sure that we have those tools to ensure that not just arrest, but also impoundment is in the toolbox that we have to make sure these types of offenses won't go forward. For the past several years, we've worked hard to try to bring a stop to these offenses, and this, as the chief noted, you have crews in streets, you have officers who are out working extra duty, we have cameras in more spaces, and we look to pass important legislation. A few other groups, though, can be important. First, foolishness, mayhem, and recklessness will never be tolerated. I encourage you, if you participate in this type of behavior, to stop before you are injured, before you are arrested, or before others are injured. City Council has also passed additional penalties for spectators at street racing shows, certain stunt events, and others. Those within 200 feet and participating in those crowds, you can face enforcement action as well. And we encourage all of our residents, businesses, and others to continue to call 911 to report these types of activities to us so that we know where they are happening and we know where they need to be stopped. This is something that we will never tolerate. It never has been tolerated, and this is one example, but one of many, where we have seen these types of issues escalate to serious injury and harm, and tragically we've seen in years past death. We hope to see that these incidents stop, but until they do, we'll make sure that there is serious enforcement action, referral of felony charges to our prosecutors, impoundment of vehicles, and action collaboratively with the police department, with City Hall, with our state legislature, ensuring that everyone in Kansas City can be safe. I have a few people behind me. I want to recognize our interim city manager, Kimiko Gilmore. Her team, not just at Public Works, but throughout the city administration, has made sure that they address these issues. And Rick Armstrong from the Kansas City Metropolitan Crime Commission. You may know them best for the TIPS hotline, and we appreciate the increase of an award for information leading to the arrest of this offender to $10,000. With that, we'll take any questions you might have.
I'm curious, I know it's really tough to pursue these swarms of bikes and quads. It's kind of different than the street shows and stuff like that because of how mobile they are. Are there any considerations to up the enforcement on, or I guess change how pursuits are done for those specific vehicles, knowing that it is tough to follow them and go after them?
I think with one of the challenges to, some of the bikes and the vehicles that we're seeing is they can go off-road. Last night even that was as a challenge as we were pursuing an ATV. He went off-road at different times. So as far as pursuing these vehicles, we are doing the best that we can in those situations. We have a proposal in place to potentially add an ATV for our downtown patrol, our downtown footbeat. In addition to that, we have, the stop sticks. We use our stop sticks like we tried to do last night. But we did attempt to pursue this ATV.
Chief, while you didn't outright say it, it sounded like to me through the various enforcement issues that you guys are going to take, that there's going to be a zero tolerance policy and all of these vehicles will be impounded or seized.
What I'm asking lawmakers is to continue to push for these vehicles to be confiscated. Like I said before, a lot of major cities are experiencing the same issue. Some of these places these locations have additional, more, I would say, enhanced penalties, and one of those is confiscating vehicles.
Are you unable to do that right now?
Right now, we don't have that on the books, but we are looking forward to seeing that soon. And also, right now, we are towing vehicles. Sometimes that towing a vehicle and it being held during the investigation is also, should be looked at as someone who would probably think twice about conducting this type of activity on our city streets.
Mayor, what's the alternative? If you leave young people to their own thoughts, they come up with their own ideas of things to do that lead to these type of situations. Is there any alternative on the books for something for young people to do that's more productive?
So in terms of broad-based activities, we always try to craft alternatives. We'll have another summer of Mayor's Night Hoops, other activities for young people to engage in. In terms of those who wish to engage in certain vehicular behavior, we're going to require wherever they are in the city, they have to follow our laws and our rules. I understand that there are some who wish to street race. I've heard conversation over years past about wanting drag strips and others. A few challenges that exist coming out of them. One, is just fundamentally a pure insurance issue. Part of the reason the city doesn't explore building that sort of space is because you have deadly and dangerous behavior that will occur at each of them, for which we would be liable as well. And so that's why you don't see us building that further activity. I think the second point is just this. We don't tolerate foolishness. This is not, to me, something that is a sign of misspent youth. This is instead somebody who recklessly could have killed one of our officers a few days ago. And these are folks that have engaged in activity that have killed themselves and others in recent years in these types of activities. That in all situations is fundamentally unacceptable. So myself, working with the city manager, working with our city council, will always continue to try to build as many opportunities as possible for our young people. That is something that we'll try to do. But there is also just purely criminal behavior. And that criminal behavior is something that we will not tolerate. To the last question, we have looked to explore every right possible for seizure of vehicles. There's a Fourth Amendment limit. We will always make sure we follow it, but we will go up to the full extent of constitutional authority to make sure someone can't use their vehicle for ongoing criminal activity. Yes, sir.
Bowling alley for young people, skating rinks, movie theaters. There's nothing in the urban core that for entertainment. The night hoops is great, but that's what, 3 months out of the summer, and that doesn't engage everybody. It's just a certain group of people. We got some folks out here, one, the cars are stolen in a lot of cases. They don't care about confiscation. They don't care about tires because they'll burn up $500 or $600 worth of tires over a weekend. It's nothing to them. So what can we do as a community and a city to engage them into something more positive before some people get hurt?
I think that's a fair set of questions there. I think what we would say is this, that we continue to try to build more entertainment opportunities and activities that are year-round and engage our young people. Some of those are things that government itself does. And we invest in summer programs. We try to invest in evening programs. We do a lot through Parks and Recreation. I'm not naive, however, and I recognize that young people want to be able to do other things, go to movie theaters, go to other activities. The things that we do from the government perspective is one, to try to make sure that they'll be safe at all of them. And you see a good presence of KCPD and others in Kansas City facilities where we have young people congregating, the movie theaters being the best example. We continue to have bowling alleys, if not in the inner city of our Kansas City, certainly close. But I think we also try to work with private enterprise, private developers, and others to see what we can do to build more in the core of our city, more that will be safe. Part of what our goal is step one, to make sure wherever it is in Kansas City that it is safe. We've seen that sort of work in recent years, 18th and Vine. You've seen a real change over the years, I think, in terms of safety, particularly in the warm weather months. That's something we will continue to try to build and enhance. We continue to work with businesses that are looking to put more into the core of our city. That's something that will be an ongoing goal of ours, and we'll continue to try to make sure Parks and Recreation has the fullest resources possible to build activities. And I think, Mr. Weston, some of that will work. I also think that there will be some who do not follow the rules or play by them. And full stop. We do have zero tolerance for somebody who's driving through crowded streets of any part of the city and recklessly doing so. We have zero tolerance for people that are looking to run over people, including our law enforcement officers. And so I think you can do both things at once. We will continue to do the work we can to make sure that people of all ages have activities, have something to do, have an outlet, but we will also not tolerate those that continue to cause harm and wreak havoc on the streets of Kansas City consistently. And I have appreciated KCPD stepping up on this. This is something they've been doing for several years. Many American cities face it. And honestly, and I know I saw critics about this over the weekend, people are saying nobody cared before or anything of that sort. We had officers out looking to intervene in this very type of behavior, and this is why one of our officers was seriously injured. We will continue to make sure we do that work so that everybody can be safe. I want kids to have safe activities. What I don't want is a bunch of dirt bikes, ATV, street racing, taking a life of one of our young people or anyone else in the city, and that's why you see this combined focus today.
Mayor, you keep mentioning the summer, warmer weather, and
Yeah.
been near Power and Light, lots of families around that area. We're getting into summer, they're going to start heading out. What is your message to families that are saying, hey, I don't feel safe bringing my kids and my family towards this area because something like this could happen?
So I think first things first, I have confidence in the Kansas City Police Department to make sure that we're not just enforcing, but that areas of Kansas City will be safe. My wife and I were out in the Crossroads area on Friday evening celebrating our wedding anniversary. We had dinner on a patio. We were able to get out and about, and frankly, I saw what was a very calm and good and exceptional night, evening night, a warm night in Kansas City, in downtown Kansas City. So I continue to believe that this is a space that for my family, for many in our community, can be something that can be observed safely and peacefully. That's step one. I think step two for us is that we will make sure that we do all we can on enforcement. This is not anybody throwing up their hands. Indeed, part of the reason we come together is to show the seriousness on enforcement, to provide a warning for our offenders, and more than anything to say that Kansas City and the Kansas City Police Department will never give up our streets, our sidewalks, and our community. This area will be safe. I believe it is safe. I bring my family out, and I think that you all can continue to bring your families out, but we will make sure that problem offenders are addressed, are apprehended, and I hope ultimately charged. And I will note I spoke to the Jackson County prosecutor who talked about her office being ready as soon as we have not just this offender apprehended, but others. Where there are felony charges, where there are serious charges to be filed, we will make sure the KCPD does all the work in working up that case possible, and I look forward to our prosecutors making sure that justice is met for anybody who commits these offenses.
Having been out on the streets quite a bit because of the job, they always seem to target the same specific areas: Power and Light, Main Street, Broadway, Westport, the Plaza. Is there going to be any additional enforcement in those areas?
Yes, and there is, and that's why we were out this past Saturday doing just that. In addition to some of those areas that you mentioned, those are some of those areas that we have employed our public works. We work together side by side to make sure that we put some of those milling in the street. That's those grooves in the street that make it to where you do not want to do side shows and burnouts in those specific areas. We're aware of those areas. We have our helicopter out. Our helicopter monitors some of those. We also monitor some back channels of where these are supposedly going to take place. We also have several large-scale events, like I said earlier, initiatives that are going to go out specifically over the next several months, like we have been doing previously, to try to prevent, intervene, and enforce on those that are involved in these criminal activities.
interim city manager.
Yes, Mr. West.
Do you have any plans to kind of reach out to the business community through the chamber to see if we can get partners to help with situations like this? This shouldn't be a burden totally on the city, but it should be engaging businesses. Do you have any plans as the interim to kind of reach out to get some partnership?
That's a great question, Mr. Wesson, and just as we were talking about this earlier today, early morning, I have reached out to Joe Reardon and on a lot of different issues, but this will be one that is top of mind because you're correct. Business community needs to step up as well. It needs to be a partnership between KCPD, the city, and also our business community and other institutions. So we will have those conversations, and I'm glad that you asked that question because it is important if we're going to really make an impact, a positive impact with this.
All right. Thank you all so much.